Nothing to see here, just another example of a conservative under attack for sharing a controversial opinion such as, oh, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't kill babies in the womb.
I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really...
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that crazy woman you saw there, the charges were actually dropped against her. I'm speaking to the woman who was sucker punched about why Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is refusing to go after the real criminals. Although when you think about it, I guess these kind of attacks shouldn't be too surprising considering the ADL lists groups like Turning Point USA under extremist groups. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Let's get into it. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. It is Monday, and it was a busy weekend. Over the weekend, we had just a terrible, another attack on an institute of religion in the country. This time in Michigan, there was a shooting at an LDS church in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. There were 4 people who were killed. There were 8 injured. I mean, this was like all very premeditated. It seems like this guy drove a truck into the church. He set it on fire. He started shooting at them. He had all of these IEDs that were found at the scene. And he was killed in a shootout with police. But the flames there are just unbelievable. So what do we know and what do we not know about this gunman? I think it's important to go through. He is named Thomas Jacob Sanford. I need to say alleged. I'll say alleged so we never get sued, okay? He was an Iraq war veteran. He served in the Marines from 2004 to 2008 as an organizational automotive mechanic and vehicle recovery operator. And I know that there are some pictures floating around where the left is trying to say, oh, this must have been this was a Trump guy because there's a picture of him back in 2019 wearing a Trump shirt. And it said, it was like a Trump 2020 shirt. But despite those, we still don't have a clear motive. And that really, really frustrates me, actually, because it seemed to me that lately we have gotten motives, clear motives, in the guy who allegedly killed Charlie. We got the motive real quick. In the guy who was shooting at the ICE building, we got the motive real quick. I mean, mostly because he etched it into the bullet, because that's what people do these days. So it's very frustrating to me that we don't have a clear motive, because then the left jumps to, oh, well, it was a Trump guy. So he must have what? Trump is encouraging acts of violence against religious institutions. Obviously, he's not doing that. So I would like to hear more on what this motive is. And the FBI is treating this anyway as an act of targeted violence. So I want to play Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who, you got to believe in times like these when she's going out and she's taking the podium and she is speaking on the matter that they have been briefed far more than we have. And this is what she had to say on the motive.
From what I understand, based on my conversations with the FBI director, all they know right now is this was an individual who hated people of the Mormon faith.
I mean, I don't know that that's not a political ideology that is necessarily preaching that. I've never heard that at a Trump rally. I've also never heard that at a Democrat rally. So I want to know why specifically the Mormon church. That's what I want to know, because it feels like there's a missing piece of this that we haven't been told yet. Now, there was a man by the name of Chris Johns who was canvassing for city council in that town. And he met this guy as he was going house to house canvassing. And he said that this guy this is a guy who you have a conversation with him and you would not forget it. He was not normal. He seemed a little crazy. And here's some of his interview with local news.
When we first started speaking, very positive. We just made just general chit chat. And then he went into his background, how he was a Marine. He had served overseas. And again, I'm going to paraphrase because I'm just going from memory, but he, to start new, had moved out to Utah to plow snow. He then began a relationship with a woman who was in the LDS church. And then the conversation changed to tattoos, which he had a lot of, and how he had to have all his tattoos removed in order to be, in for certain religious ceremonies. And after a short while, the conversation went to the Church of Latter-day Saints, Mormonism, and he just made the position multiple times that Mormons are the Antichrist. And he, in not so many terms, said that several times. He gave me his background, but I just walked away from a person who had some very sharp views about Mormons.
I would like to know what formed that opinion. I want to make sure under Kash Patel, the FBI is transparent, because we have seen this like increasing attack on Christian institutions, on churches. And I understand that there's a conversation of whether or not, people put Mormons and Catholics into these different buckets. And say, well, that's not real Christianity. Well, here's the problem. Anyone who believes in Jesus Christ and God seems to have these attacks increasing against them, because you've got Lakewood Church in Houston. That was just last year. A woman came in and just opened fire. You've got the Minneapolis, Minnesota, 2025. This just happened last month. Annunciation Catholic Church, they had their school mass, and you had the trans person coming in and killing children. Then you had 2023, you had the Covenant Christian school shooting in Nashville. Another transgender killed like 6 people. I believe it was 3 kids and 3 adults. And so we're clearly seeing this on the rise, regardless of your, conversation on, well, what constitutes true Christianity. Honestly, it really doesn't freaking matter, because the other side thinks if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ, you are the enemy. That is the point. And I would like to have more information on all of this. I want to know everything there is to know about why this guy did what he did, because he clearly had it out for Mormons. Why? We need answers. But when you talk to the other side, they will always make the conversation about guns. The issue is always the guns. I just had this conversation. I should not have gone on my friend's Facebook page when he posted something about Charlie, but I did. And he doesn't know Charlie, but he talked about it. And there was this just awful leftist who was like, well, but when are you going to admit that, well, I don't like that I'm seeing this increasing rhetoric from you that's white supremacist and fascist? And I'm like, oh, shut the up. I can't take it anymore. So I was just like, when are you guys going to finally admit the increasing violence against conservatives and Christians? Like, when are you, how many people is it going to take for you guys to admit that? And she, of course, was trying to say that the guy who shot up the ICE facility was anti-immigrant. And I'm like, what? Like, can we just get the facts right here? But when she had that conversation with me, she said, well, when are you going to admit that the real problem is guns? And why are the deaths of children not important enough to you to solve the real problem? That's you're just going to present that to me as a fact, right? Like, if you don't believe in gun control, then you must want more kids to die. It's just such a disingenuous argument. But it's what the left always goes to. And so now you even have this Muslim Democrat Senate candidate. They seem to all be Muslim now. The state of Michigan, you guys are in trouble, because you guys have been taken over at all levels of government now. But you've got the Senate candidate, Abdul El Sayed, sounds so American, who immediately after this started talking about what? Gun control.
I know that when you have the scourge of a thing that harms people, you have a responsibility to start asking, how do you actually solve that? And you look at all of the string of violence that we've seen, they tend to have something in common. And I think we have a responsibility as a country to stand together, to stand up for our children, for our elders, for folks just going to church on a Sunday, to say that enough is enough. We need to have a conversation about gun violence, right? The Second Amendment doesn't mean any gun for anyone, anywhere, anytime. It means that we understand that there was a space for this, but not this.
No, No, it literally does. And I would like to see, is this guy, you know what? I'm going to be accused of racial profiling. I don't really care. Okay, so he was born in America. You know, you never know with that name. But I don't appreciate being lectured to about the Second Amendment from someone who clearly has not read it, because it's very, very clear. And I agree, as someone who has kids, I agree. I don't want to live in a country where my kids are at risk of dying. But do you know what I definitely am not going to do, because I don't want my kids to die, because I want them safe, is I am definitely going to carry protection for them everywhere we go. I mean, that's kind of the deal, right? In fact, I fully advocate churches, any sort of church, having full security. They should definitely do that. And do you know what security should have? Guns. And do you know what schools should have? Full security with guns. Oh, but we can't do that, because then people would have to, go through metal. What if children have to go through metal detectors? That might traumatize them. No, do you know what would traumatize them? Having the bad guys come in and having no good guys around who can actually save them. And everything that I read is that the LDS church was a gun-free zone. So why does this, what is the common denominator here? The bad guy goes to the gun-free zone and takes advantage of it and leaves people defenseless, and more people die. But what do the Democrats go to? Let's ban the guns. Let's make more gun-free zones. Let's make it more illegaler. Yeah, I know that's not a word. That's the point. Oh my gosh, do you know what we should do next? Let's make murder illegal. Why haven't we tried that yet? Then people just wouldn't do it. Of course, the answer is not to ban more guns. Of course, the answer is to make sure that more people can protect themselves with guns. But I'm saying this as if the left has ever, they would have to dust off the documents and read them first in order to actually understand the argument. All right, I want to get to the panel, so let's go ahead. We're going to take a break, but before we do that, I do want to remind you, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet already. Hit the like button. It'll help us out in the algorithm, and comment. That will help us out as well. If you're listening on audio podcast, I don't know why you haven't left a review yet. Go leave one. Make sure that it's, 5 stars? 4 stars, however many stars you can leave, you should leave them. And let us know what you think about the show. I want to thank our sponsor here, Jase Medical. So Jase Medical is there for those of you who understand the importance of emergency preparedness. But you're like, I've got all my food. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you've got your food. But what happens if there's some sort of supply shortage because of, natural disaster or a pandemic, or that would never happen, or just something that happens that it's an emergency. Okay. So what happens when you need a medication and you can't go to the pharmacy and get it, or they have a shortage? So it's literally nowhere. What happens? Well, that's why you need the Jase case. It has emergency medications and prescription antibiotics. And I believe it's 5 essential life-saving antibiotics that it includes in this case. Here's the thing. I know people who they save it for true emergencies. And I know people who are like, hey, it was a holiday weekend and my son had an ear infection and everything was closed. We're not going to take him to the emergency room. So we just used the antibiotic in the Jase case. We knew what it was. We were able to treat it. It was very convenient. We didn't have to go anywhere. Whatever the case may be, make sure you're prepared. You can do that by going to jase.com. Enter promo code Sarah at checkout for a discount on your order. That is promo code SARA at jase.com. All right, welcome to the show. We have Grant Stinchfield, who to what do I owe this pleasure? Because You were just here. I felt like I hadn't seen you in years, it felt like.
Well,
and
you
then
said the show needed me.
I did.
So here I am.
I did. I appreciate that. Grant, tell everyone where they can find you because you're doing way too much these days.
Well, you're kind of Real America's Voice every night, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then out on LA, I got my radio show, Morning Drive, AM 870. And the podcast is very important. Rumble's the best platform around noon every day.
So you're not doing much.
No, pushing a lot of content.
Overachiever over here. Also joined by Jason Buttrill, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program and honorary contributor to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I say honorary because he doesn't get paid. You know what Jason did one time? He made me an invoice for all of his appearances throughout the years. And what did it calculate out to? Like $9 million or something?
It's on the tab. So it just
Is he the only one not getting paid? I'm not getting paid to be here.
No.
What honorary?
No, yes. Everyone. No, I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure that you check both of these gentlemen out if you are not already following them, which you should be. So I wanted to talk to you guys about what is happening in Portland, Oregon with this ICE facility. It's been kind of brewing for a while. You've had these protesters that have been outside the facility, I think largely underreported. They are out there at literally all hours of the day and night. There have been neighbors who live right next to the facility who are like, we can't sleep. They're using these like sound weapons that are hurting our ears. These people are nuts and they haven't stopped, but now they are just kind of amping up the violence. And so President Trump he's already made it clear, if you guys don't clean up your mess, if you guys don't clean up the crime, if you guys don't make it safe for all Americans, I'm going to have to come in and do it for you. And so he said on Truth Social, at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide sounds so badass, to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So now you've got Pete Hegseth announcing that 200 members of the Oregon National Guard are going to be called into federal service effective immediately for a period of 60 days. And so I want to get your thoughts first, guys, and then I want to play some of the leftist leaders who are like, you know, of course, Trump's the bad guy now because he's trying to come in and make Portland safe.
I'm going to call myself out.
Okay.
I failed, I guess, because I have not been focused on Portland, right? I've been covering everything else but Portland, but clearly we had this problem where the people should occupy a cubicle instead of the space in front of the ICE facility.
Right.
But they just look at this as their job, and I've kind of ignored it. So as soon as President Trump says Portland, now my focus goes to Portland, and it also is still in Chicago. It's got a problem. We got cities all over this country that have a problem.
Yeah.
But I should have been focused on Portland. Maybe we all should have. Because
we just lost it, right?
Yeah.
Like it was.
Maybe that is
exactly.
what it is.
I
Maybe
think
we just felt like we lost it.
Well, that is kind of how I felt because I remember, I mean, there was one woman in particular, I can't remember if I played her on the show, but I remember seeing her videos on social media. It was this black woman who walked with a cane and she walked out there and was just yelling, shut the up.
I remember that video.
We can't sleep. We need sleep. You're worse than ICE, she said. So this is not like a Republican, you know, she's just like, you guys have to leave us alone. We live here. And so I remember seeing that, but I think that is kind of where my mind went, was just like, well, that's what you get when you live in Portland, which is not fair. It's not fair. I mean, you have a morning show in California. It's not fair to say like, well, that's what you guys got. You voted for it. Now you get it. That's not fair for the people who have jobs there, who have lives there, who are doing their best to try to change the tide.
You know, I make this argument all the time in Los Angeles. Maybe it is fair. Y'all are such idiots. You vote for this over and over again. Well, what do you want? Like, if you don't want it, the only option you have is to leave. And I know that people say, well, we got to fight. Somebody has to stand and fight. It's law. Jason, to your point, Portland's lost. LA is lost. The only way you get it back, and I do think you can get it back, is after everybody leaves. And it cannot sustain itself anymore.
New York's about to find that out. If they get that new guy in.
Big way.
It's almost like you need to your point, you need to feel that pain to realize just how badly leftism, hardcore leftism, Marxism, socialism is.
Isn't that why President Trump is president right now? right? Like, I think that there are a lot of independents or Democrats who previously were like, ooh, I don't like what Trump tweets. And then we're like, okay, we can't do this again. We can't do another 4 years of this.
You want to hear so I've gotten more and more radical to this as I've gone, because I always walk that fine line where I'm scared of what a precedent we may set that the next administration, if they're anti-us, how far they're going to take it. I'm now at the point where I don't think I really give a shit.
Yeah.
So at this point,
I don't.
I'm for him declaring the Insurrection Act, and very specifically in certain places. We have ceded so much ground to these radicals. It's absolutely nuts. We're all old enough to remember when the last administration, under Joe Biden, sent in FBI SWAT teams to grandparents' house and hauled their asses out and then arrested them. And then the shock and awe, to quote the DOJ under them, when they went after January 6ers like crazy, people that weren't even doing anything, people that weren't even going into the Capitol, but they did it anyway. Why? To cower us, to freak us out, to shut us down.
Yep.
You've got you now have a domestic terror organization now, an Antifa. That's great. Now go after not only show up to these places, just straight up haul them out and arrest them. Arrest them. Get rid of them.
Play some of this video of these protests.
Show up to their houses.
Outside.
Show up to their houses. Yeah. Go in and get them out.
Right.
Arrest them.
Yeah. I mean, so this is these people getting having law enforcement actually confront them. But I mean,
and it's not enough.
No, it's not. I mean, no, it's not. But they're totally provoking them as well. It's not like they went quietly into the night. He's got these guys being hauled off. Of course they do.
They want the problems. They want the video. They want all of it so they can say, look at us, persecuted by the military or these tactical weaponized agents.
Great point by Grant, because this is the fine line. This is what I'm worried about. Okay, so we saw this with, let me go way across the pond. Let's go to South Korea. South Korea had a conservative president. Their president was called the conservative Trump, and they even called him K-Trump for a while. He was dealing with a lot of the same crap. He finally
really call him K-Trump.
Call him K-Trump. Yeah. He thought there was an existential threat from Marxism, North Korean, Chinese, everything. So he finally said, "Okay, screw it." Declared martial law, complete crackdown, and that's exactly what the left wanted. They immediately got the judicial system involved. They shut down what he was trying to do. Then they just kicked his ass out. What happened right after that? They went massively left. Wealth taxes. They just did their digital ID, something the UK is doing now, something we better be prepared to handle and to deal with, because private businesses will do that. They'll go around the government. We won't even have to worry about the government side. We'll have to worry about private businesses locking us out of everything. Just now, sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but the EU just mandated biometric data for when you enter into their countries. They just did this. Washington Post wrote about it today.
No way.
Dead serious. So if you want to just take your family to Italy or whatever, you're going to have to show your thumbprint and your photograph.
Non-citizens into
everyone going in. So they're going to have your biometric data as a U.S. citizen on their system. It's all being implemented. But pretty soon they're going to say you can't exist in the international economic infrastructure.
Are we not doing that here? I mean, I have global entry.
You're right.
You're exactly right. I came in from Mexico. Sarah, I don't know if you've used global entry recently,
Absolutely
but literally you scan your face. You don't even say hi to the agent. He goes, "Grant, come on by." Like, you don't even check a box. You don't touch anything. You scan your face, walk forward. Grant, you're good.
No.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because I want the ease of it. I'm not doing anything wrong. I could care less. Quite frankly, I really could care less. Like, you know,
you're not doing anything wrong now. You're not doing anything wrong now until you get someone in charge who determines that you're doing wrong for being a conservative.
If we're at that point where they're coming in like they do to Roger Stone or Steve Bannon or whatever, then we're in a really, really bad spot. And then we're at a point where I hope we never are, but they picked the wrong house.
Yeah,
okay?
That's true.
That's how I look at it.
No, that's fair.
It's little by little by little is how they do that. And eventually that biometric data on something like global entry will be tied to a digital ID that they'll say for your safety, also for your convenience. You know, we're going to tie your banking data to that as well. Stuff like that. That's how it ends up happening. Let me take it back to where I took us on a tangent, but these are the oversteps that I feel like eventually someone's going to say, screw it, you know, and like full weight of the government, they'll go all in. And then my worry is always that's exactly what the left is waiting on.
Well, wait till they tie it to your credit card or your bank account or your tap. And then if you don't, I mean, this is what China does, their social credit scores, you don't do the way you want, then they shut off your ability to get a loan. They shut off your ability to use your credit card. That's how they control you. I mean, right now we have a reprieve because Donald Trump is at the helm. And you're right, elections have consequences. And so I'm with you on screw it, though. If America can't wake up and see this is a lot better than it was a year ago under the auto pen, we're better off now. So hopefully 3 years from now, we elect, J.D. Vance or Rubin, whoever it is.
Right.
But, just not a Democrat.
If we don't, if we don't start seeing actual arrests like en masse on some of these people that are these violent psychopaths in places like Portland, Chicago, places like that, these crazy Marxist leftists that are doing this stuff, if we don't start kicking in doors and arresting their asses, getting them off the streets, they're promoting violence. And not only that, they're getting funding. There's large networks. You see all those people out on the street on that video you just showed. They're getting money from very, very known places.
Right.
We know where they're not just showing up with $5 in their pocket doing this and not having to work. They're getting money from people like George Soros, Open Society Foundation, places like that.
To be fair, there's probably a percentage of them that are just showing up because they're total losers.
The
useful
in the mom's
idiots.
basement.
Exactly. Right. There are some useful idiots that are in there because that's always
them
what they do.
Blind liberal zombies.
Yes. Yeah.
And they blindly follow like zombies.
Yep.
They're idiot leaders who really aren't that idiotic. They know exactly what they're doing. They're sly as foxes.
Right, exactly.
And they weaponize the blind liberal zombies against society.
Yes, I fully believe that. So speaking of those, before we go, I do want to play some of the leaders of Portland, of course, is like, but Orange Man bad, I guess. Watch.
This is an American city. We do not need any intervention. This is not a military target. The president will not find lawlessness or violence here.
There is no insurrection.
Chris Hayes
there is no threat to national security.
Crazy.
And there is no need for military troops in our major city.
Or is that a thin Rosie O'Donnell?
It might be.
I don't know.
Mark Cuban with cancer. I don't know.
I thought it was what's her name from MSNBC. What's her name?
Rachel Maddow.
That was Rachel Maddow. Wait, is this look just the uniform?
Yes. Yeah, it is the uniform. You got to have a beta male that looks like he's, it's a coat hanger that he's hanging his suit jacket off of. And somebody who looks like Rosie O'Donnell. And that's who their side is. Have at it, guys. If that's who you want your leaders to be, have at it.
She did this other video on social media where she was talking to the camera and then they played some B-roll of her like holding hands with her lesbian partner to prove that Portland is actually safe. And I was just like, this is so embarrassing that there are actual people in this country, regardless of where it is, that voted for this. They were like, yeah, this is what I want to lead my state.
I will tell you, Portland is not safe. You will get stabbed with a screwdriver by a homeless guy posing as an Antifa person.
Right. But nothing to see here. No, I fully support President Trump cleaning up all of these streets. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break and then we will be back with more. But we want to thank our sponsor of this segment, BlueChew, guys. Okay, there it is. Yep. Now listen, I'm going to try my best to make both of these gentlemen really uncomfortable while I'm talking about this. Because here's the thing. People are like,
BlueChew. With the boing.
The
I get it now.
There's a reason that it's called BlueChew, Grant.
Hey, sometimes you need to supersize it.
Right. So you'll appreciate this because people are like, but I don't have ED, which like if you do, it's not your fault. It's fine. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. But
it's your girlfriend's fault. No, I'm teasing.
She's just not pretty enough. No, just kidding. No, but in all seriousness, it's like you could just use it if you want to spice things up. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to have a problem. Maybe you just want to like have a fun Friday night. Okay. BlueChew can help you do that. And it's very, very easy. You do it all online. And they've got all these licensed medical providers who can do it for you, approve you, make sure you get the right one for you, and you get it shipped directly to your door. So it's not like.
So is Steven a user?
Steven, do you care?
You were to make
Sorry, buddy. I had to do it.
Listen,
we're
we're
not
always
just a
looking.
Spokesperson. We're a family.
We're a consumer. Well, my parents watch this show, so I guess I won't. You know what? We have kids. They know what happens. Made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door. So make sure that you go to BlueChew.com, use promo code Sarah, and get your first month for free. You're welcome, guys. I don't need to know the details, but you're welcome.
Give me the address again.
BlueChew.com. Anti-Defamation.com, promo code Sarah. So the Anti-Defamation League has now labeled Turning Point USA under their extremism and hate section on their website. Yes, this is in the glossary of extremism and hate. TPUSA was connected to many controversial incidents, including problematic comments by TPUSA spokespeople or activists, TPUSA spokespeople appearing alongside extremists at events or on their shows, and activists making racist or bigoted social media posts, text or statements, and connections between TPUSA members or activists and known extremists or extremist groups, which is just an interesting time to claim that we are the extremists. It's almost like they are trying to dehumanize us because they want what happened to Charlie to happen. It's almost like they want that to happen. And the way to do that is to, of course, call us all extremists and fascists and Nazis and all of these things so that people have a reason to come at us.
The Anti-Defamation League is really doubling down on this. So last week, they did a story about how during 2024, the 13 mass shooting murders were all right-wing extremists.
No.
And you start to look into this, and like none of them were right-wing extremists. They had them mislabeled. They left off transgender shooters off the list. Like they literally left off the list hardcore radical leftists that committed murders. They called them extremist murders, and then they said all the extremist murders were right-wing extremists. And they shaped this, and you got into it. You know who wrote a great article on this? Is John Lott with the Crime Prevention Research Center.
Yeah.
He wrote a great article calling them out. And then you come today and you see this. The Turning Point USA is an extremist organization. Come on, give me a break. Like, literally, have you heard the message? It's the best message possible for kids. Quite frankly, for adults, too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting. And I use that term very loosely. And of course, in light of what happened to Charlie, all of these old clips are surfacing and people are completely misrepresenting what he would say to say that it's racist or bigoted or whatever. The black pilot DEI one comes to mind where they're like, he said black women are stupid. And it's like, well, no, he was making a larger point that DEI is bad and that Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown Jackson and all of these other DEI hires are stupid, which is verifiably true. But to have them, as Grant said, double down on this, knowing that what happened just happened is just so reprehensible.
Yeah. Did you see how they also classified Antifa?
We have that.
We
have that.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. Persistent disinformation campaigns about Antifa distort public perception of the movement, while some extreme actors who claim to be affiliated with Antifa do engage in violence or vandalism at rallies and events.
Oh, my God.
This is not the norm.
Do you know the other model they're using here about Antifa is that it's not an actual organization.
Decentralized.
That it's just a movement and it's an ideology and it's not an actual organization. I'm going to tell you, it is an organization and it is funded by, I believe, left-wing billionaires. When you have pallets of rocks and bricks ready to go, when you have tactical gear and gas masks ready to go, when you have all the way down to food and water ready to go to keep these riots going on and on. How do you say that's not an organized movement?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's a group called Antifa International, and they sell merchandise, for crying out loud, and they donate proceeds, to that. I mean, there's actual, like,
Stupid.
It's not GoFundMe, but it's some other kind of, I can't remember, it's like Direct Action Fund or whatever it's called that actually donates towards like legal.
You know what would be funny? If I started an Antifa International and sold the t-shirts, but then actually, instead of selling them an Antifa t-shirt, when you sell the shirt, then send them one of the Charlie Kirk Freedom shirts.
Yeah.
Just send the Freedom shirt to them, and then...
It's just such gaslighting, man. It's like, it's the same thing with the Great Reset comes to mind, where they're like, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. That's not a real thing. It's like, it's on their website.
Yeah.
Like, all of this information exists if you just go look.
I get more and more tinfoil hatty over stuff like this. Surprise, surprise. But I mean, why you have to, there's got to be a motive, a larger motive. Like, why would you downplay how dangerous radical leftism or anarchism, whatever you call it, Antifa, whatever they are, are? Why would you downplay them? But at the same time, an organization like Turning Point USA, who's openly Christian, who teaches the youth to think for themselves and engage in peaceful debate. Why would you label one a hate group and dangerous and another one downplay it?
I think we all know the answer.
To me, it's like
that.
Organizations like Turning Point USA. It's not only, I mean, it's Christ centered. It's education centered. You're providing hope. They don't want hope. They don't want that. They want chaos.
I think there's a number of different answers, and maybe the most simple, which is not the most nefarious, but maybe the most simple, is that Trump says Antifa's bad. And Trump likes Turning Point USA. So anything Trump calls out, anything Trump tries to fix, anything Trump supports, they've got to be adamantly against it. I mean, look at it. You get them supporting MS-13 Maryland men, right? You've got them supporting now Antifa.
Yeah.
You got them. I mean,
the list goes on
and on.
On and on. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. And speaking of that, covering for actual criminals, you're not going to want to miss my next interview when we return. So speaking of how these corrupt Democrat DAs, these district attorneys, are soft on crime, which it just is like that causes a multitude of problems, right? They are out to weaponize the justice system for their own twisted sense of self-righteousness. And so you've got them weaponizing the justice system, and then you've got them not punishing actual criminals. And so the streets are not safe. And these people with these God complexes think that they can just, manipulate everything. Well, speaking of that, Alvin Bragg, you may remember him, the person who pursued the witch hunt Stormy Daniels case against President Trump, charging him with the 34 felonies. He looked like a chipmunk out there with his big old cheeks going out there and talking about how no one is above the law. Ask James Comey how that turned out. Anywho, Alvin Bragg has decided to not go after people actually committing the real crimes. Donald Trump, 34 felonies. The real criminals? Nah, not so much. His office actually dropped a case against a woman who allegedly, I have to legally say that, sucker punched a pro-life activist. Now, I use the term allegedly because I heard this woman is a real batshit crazy woman. So I don't know. I don't want her to sue, okay? I'll tell you, it was allegedly. Now, it was also caught on camera, so I'll show you that here in a second. But Savannah Craven Antao was out on the street trying to raise awareness that Planned Parenthood takes $700 million of our taxpayer dollars every year. Okay? Pretty good cause, I would say. So she's out there on the streets. This woman walks up, and the interview, I don't know, I'm going to say it escalated very quickly. Watch.
So you have a pretty positive view of Planned Parenthood.
I mean, majority. I don't know. Is this like a yes or no? Am I wrong?
It's your opinion.
But yeah, that is definitely my opinion. I feel like, especially as teens, people get caught up in things that they really don't want to commit to for their entire lives. So if you get caught up with the wrong guy, you think you're in love, and then now you stuck. Not stuck, but you're stuck with a baby for the rest of this time, literally the rest of their lives and your life, if you're that kind of mother, because some women just don't have it in them and they abandon them and abuse them and all kind of shit. And it's like, girl, just get rid of it if you know you're going to do that.
Get rid of them. Why not just give them to another family? That's good.
No, but exactly even that. And that's another option that Planned Parenthood offers.
What happens in an abortion?
They literally suck the life out of you. They're going to take the whole baby out. And as they should, because I shouldn't be a taxpayer paying child support and food stamps and WIC for women.
You should be a taxpayer paying for abortions?
Exactly. But as for a woman who didn't want the baby in the first place, that doesn't make sense to me. Don't ever sit here and lock yourself down with a man who already told you he doesn't want to be with you. He doesn't.
I agree with you.
I'm not disagreeing with you either. I understand.
You don't get to kill the baby just because their dad didn't want them.
You can.
Should we kill the kids in foster care? And
why not? Why not?
You went from saying that my outfit was really cute to saying I'm an effing idiot. That's so mean.
But I think that your point of view is very obstructed, and I think that you just don't understand the magnitude of having a child.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
Oh boy. That really came out of nowhere. Wow. So Savannah was bleeding from the face after the assault and had to be treated in the hospital. That was her after this assault. Stitches, $3,000 in medical bills. And this woman, Brianna Rivers, was charged with second-degree assault, but it was dropped because Alvin Bragg's office apparently is full of DEI hires, I guess. I don't know. They missed a key filing deadline, and they didn't even turn over evidence to the court in time. Imagine letting the real criminals, the violent criminals, run free because you can't be bothered to hit your deadlines. Joining me now is Savannah herself. She's an activist based in New York City and the face of Her Patriot Voice on YouTube. Savannah, thank you so much for joining me. You look beautiful. It's nice to see that you healed very nicely. I'm so sorry that happened to you, but I just want to ask you, what happens now? Like, can you press charges again? Is there any chance that this woman actually is held accountable for her disgusting actions against you?
Thank you so much for having me on. The next step is my lawyers and I will be pursuing a civil suit because of the $3,000 and medical bills that you mentioned, and just the trauma that this has caused me for the past 6 months. Being known as the girl who got punched in the face in Harlem, I'm very grateful the way that God has turned this around. It's really grown my socials and made people think about abortion and bring people to the pro-life side, or at least see that there is leftist violence like more than ever before. You know, we saw what happened with Charlie Kirk. And so I don't want her to get away with this like she has criminally. I want her to be made an example of.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they're going, this is something that I say a lot, Savannah, is when you're dealing with these leftists with this radical ideology, I mean, when you're dealing with this woman who can literally stand there in broad daylight and tell you, yes, you should just kill children in foster care, which is like totally bonkers crazy. I mean, you're dealing with someone that is that brainwashed and indoctrinated. You're not going to change their minds, but you could at least scare them into, I don't know, not assaulting people if there are consequences, right? Like, so you can get them to stop if you use the right means. And I think that this is one of those means, is to go after these people legally however we can. So I'm glad that you're doing that. Did you ever hear what was her defense for it seemed to jump from 0 to 60 real freaking quick with no explanation. All you were doing was letting her speak for herself. Did she ever come back and say, not that there would be any justification for what she did, but like just out of curiosity, did she say what really set her off to do that?
Oh, yeah. She's been trying to justify her actions for the past 6 months. Unfortunately, I've had to follow along with her Instagram stories of her making edits about me and reposting TikToks that support her actions against me. She has absolutely no remorse. She claims that I provoked her into attacking me and that I twisted her words. Well, if anybody saw the full unedited 20+ minute interview that's on Live Action's YouTube channel, you'd know I was trying to give her an opportunity to kind of backtrack there after saying, why not kill kids in foster care? Being on camera when you're not on camera very often is difficult. And so sometimes you slip up, you say things you don't mean, and you get things twisted. I wanted her to be clear. Yeah. Because I knew I was about to upload this footage and what she said, not very great. And she doubled, tripled down. But we got to ask ourselves, why are we surprised? If these people are willing to kill innocent children that they've never met, what do you think they want to do to us, sinners who have a voice, who speak out against the things that they believe in?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I wonder how it makes you feel that, you have this DA's office with Alvin Bragg leading it. You have this DA's office that is going after 34 felonies against President Trump, and yet they drop the ball when it comes to keeping people actually safe from real criminals on the streets. To me, I'm thinking that's probably scary for a young woman who is out there just trying to do these street interviews. It's probably scary to know you don't have the DA's office that's going to have your back and actually follow up and follow through with these things because they're too busy, prosecuting Donald Trump?
Right. And somebody like Daniel Penny, who was a hero in the subway, look what they did to him. right? But then they let off my attacker with all the evidence they need in the world that she attacked me unprovoked out of nowhere for simply using my First Amendment right. The fact that Alvin Bragg's DA office and Alvin Bragg himself is okay with women just being assaulted on the streets, what world are we living in, right? I mean, it's so hard to even get your gun license here in New York. So at least, give me the option to protect myself, but it's nearly impossible to do that. You've got to go through all these extra steps, and most places are gun-free zones. It's so disturbing. And I just have to ask Alvin Bragg, if I was your daughter, if I was your wife, would this be how you treat me?
Right.
I mean,
yeah. No, you're right. I mean, would this be how you treat me, or would this be okay with you? Would it be okay with you that I'm left totally defenseless in the streets against totally crazy women who just go off on me? It really is. It's sad to see what New York is becoming, especially with this mayoral election ahead of us. So Let me ask you this then, Savannah. Do you know, like, what is this woman doing? Where is she now? What is she doing? I know she's gone on social media and she's doing all these Instagram stories, but I also heard that she was like trying to crowdfund off of this.
Yes. Right after the assault and everything went viral, after I posted on social media, she started a GoFundMe and a Give, Send, Go. The GoFundMe was for legal funds, which is against their guidelines. So of course it was rightfully taken down. And I think she raised about $1,600 or so on Give, Send, Go. She claims that she lost her job after she assaulted me. Her workplace found out about it. I know, poor her, right? But she's been traveling to Puerto Rico, going on a family cruise. So I guess that GoFundMe money is treating her well. And I hope she has a little bit left over to pay my medical bills.
Golly, my anger is bubbling up for you, Savannah. I can't even imagine how frustrating this has been. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your voice. Again, I'm so sorry that happened to you. It is so disgusting to me that we live in a country where the Second Amendment is literally a thing, and yet we have places like New York where women like you go out there and you don't even know if you're going to be safe, and they've left you totally defenseless. It shouldn't be that way. Tell everyone where they can find you, because I do love that when we started this conversation, you said, I'm at least grateful for the fact that more people are learning the arguments against abortion and more people are finding you. So tell everyone where they can find more of your content.
Yes, my YouTube channel, where I do long form content, go out on the streets and debate people, try to have productive conversations, is Her Patriot Voice. And all of my other socials are at Savannah Antao.
I appreciate you, Savannah, and I appreciate your voice. It is so needed right now. I know you mentioned Charlie. We've all got to be standing strong despite all of the violence that clearly is being waged against us, and keep going out there and keep spreading the message, because I do believe that we are obviously the majority. We just won the election. We just need to remind these people that there are more of us than there are of them, and you can't silence us by assaulting us or killing us. I appreciate you, Savannah. Thank you so much. Stay safe, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, make sure to go follow her on social media, follow her YouTube channel. Her message is very, very important these days. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.